Disney World genuinely has some of the best theme park attractions on the planet, and nothing here argues otherwise. But not every ride with a long line or a famous name is actually worth your limited park time. And some attractions stay on people's must-do lists purely out of habit or nostalgia that hasn't been updated in years. Some of what's coming is the kind of thing you'd expect. A ride that's gotten a little dated, a wait that's not quite worth it anymore. But by the time we get to number 1, we're talking about one of Disney's most famous, most historic attractions on property, where the actual reviews use one exact phrase over and over to describe it: a waste of time. How many of these have you personally waited for on autopilot without stopping to ask whether the payoff matched the time you spent in line? This is the skip list: 10 Disney World attractions that consistently disappoint relative to what they cost you in time, according to guests and reviewers who've ridden them enough to know the difference. Know what to skip, and you'll walk into the parks with more time left for the things that actually deliver. Number 10. Monsters, Inc. Laugh Floor at Magic Kingdom. This is an interactive comedy show built around Monsters, Inc. characters reading jokes submitted live by the audience through text message, a format that felt genuinely fresh and novel when it first debuted in Tomorrowland. Longtime defenders of this show, including reviewers who used to recommend it enthusiastically to nearly everyone passing through the area, now openly admit its relevance and interactivity have noticeably declined over roughly the last 5 years. The format has aged in place. The screen-based gimmick that once felt novel now feels like something you'd find at nearly every other stop in the park, and the jokes themselves haven't kept pace with how much comedy delivered through phones has changed since the show first opened its doors. When even the people who used to champion a show start quietly downgrading their own recommendation year after year, that's a clearer signal than any single bad review could ever be on its own. A show built entirely around feeling current and interactive stops working the moment it stops actually being either one. Number 9. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh at Magic Kingdom. This is a gentle, genuinely sweet dark ride through the 100-acre wood, a Fantasyland staple built for families with young kids who grew up on the books, the classic shorts, and everything that's come since. Even reviewers who cover Magic Kingdom closely and clearly love this specific land single this ride out as the most skippable dark ride in all of Fantasyland, when you weigh the actual quality of the experience against how long you'll typically end up waiting to get on it. During a normal park day, it's not a bad ride by any stretch. It's a short, simple one that happens to share real estate and a queue system, with rides guests are genuinely willing to wait considerably longer for, and Pooh rarely gives you a strong enough reason to make that same trade twice on the same trip. Sweet and nostalgic doesn't automatically mean worth a 40-minute wait in the Florida sun with restless kids in tow. This is a ride to catch, specifically if the line happens to be short when you walk past it, not one to build any real part of your day around in advance. Number 8. Magic Carpets of Aladdin at Magic Kingdom. This is a basic spinner ride tucked into Adventureland, themed around Aladdin, generally aimed squarely at younger kids who enjoy the up and down motion far more than any story element attached to it. Most of the time, this ride is either a walk-on or close to it, which is exactly why it rarely becomes anyone's actual problem on a typical day. The real trap here shows up on the rare occasion the wait spikes past what it normally runs, because the ride itself simply doesn't carry enough content or thrill to justify standing in a genuine line for it the way you might for something bigger nearby. Industry reviewers covering Magic Kingdom's weaker attractions have gone so far as to suggest removing this ride altogether, freeing up an already congested corner of Adventureland for more seating and shade instead of another spinner. This one isn't a trap most days out of the year. The trap is specifically the one day it isn't a walk-on, and you decide to wait anyway, purely out of habit, rather than actually checking the posted time first. Number 7. Soarin' at Epcot. This has been one of Epcot's genuine headliners for years, a hang-gliding simulator ride that used to require serious rope drop strategy just to avoid a multi-hour wait during any reasonably busy season of the year, back when it first opened and became an instant sensation. That reputation has quietly stopped matching current reality. Wait times now regularly sit under 30 minutes throughout most of the day, even during moderately busy periods that would have easily meant a much longer line just a handful of years earlier, before other Epcot attractions came along to absorb some of that demand. Guests who've been visiting Epcot for years describe circling back to Soarin' later in the day almost on pure reflex, out of old habit built up over multiple trips, only to discover they could have walked straight on an hour earlier and skipped the detour back entirely. Building your entire morning strategy around a ride that barely has a meaningful line anymore is time genuinely better spent somewhere else in Epcot that still actually needs that kind of careful planning around it. Number 6, Flight of Passage, and specifically the rope drop morning rush to get there at Disney's Animal Kingdom. This one comes with a real caveat stated up front. The ride itself is widely considered one of the best attractions anywhere on Disney World property, arguably the single best 3D simulator ride the company has ever built, and nothing here is arguing you should skip actually riding it during your trip. The problem is, the ritual guests have built up around getting on it first thing, almost as a rite of passage in its own right, before you've even had breakfast. Families routinely power walk straight to Pandora the moment the park gates open, specifically trying to beat the rest of the crowd to the ride, only to find posted wait times already climbing past an hour, within minutes of the park technically opening for the day, no matter how fast they move to get there. All that rushing, all that stress, all that sweating through Animal Kingdom before 8 in the morning, and the line is already long before your day has really even started in earnest. Experienced visitors increasingly recommend the exact opposite approach, riding Flight of Passage late at night instead, when crowds thin out naturally as families with young kids head back to their resorts to sleep, and Pandora's bioluminescent lighting genuinely makes the whole land feel more immersive after dark than it ever manages to under the harsh Florida sun during the day. The ride itself is genuinely worth doing, full stop, no argument there. The stressful, sweaty sprint to do it first thing in the morning is the actual part that's wasting your time and energy on a day that's supposed to feel relaxing. Number 5, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at Magic Kingdom. This is marketed as one of Magic Kingdom's newest headliner attractions, built with real Snow White theming and sold hard to first-time visitors as a genuine family coaster worth prioritizing above almost everything else in the park during their limited time there. Guests and industry reviewers consistently note the ride feels noticeably short relative to how long you'll typically wait for it, with gentle, rocking movement rather than the real coaster thrills its marketing and its reputation seem to promise going in before you've actually ridden it. It's closer in actual practice to a family-friendly dark ride than to an honest roller coaster, which creates a real mismatch between expectation and payoff for guests who show up specifically expecting the latter experience based on everything they'd heard beforehand. Being a pleasant, family-friendly ride is a perfectly fine thing for an attraction to be on its own terms, and plenty of guests genuinely enjoy it for exactly what it is. The mismatch happens specifically when guests wait a full hour for it, because the name and the marketing promised something a lot closer to a real coaster than what actually shows up once the doors open. Number 4, Kali River Rapids at Disney's Animal Kingdom. This is a whitewater raft ride built around genuine rainforest conservation theming, popular specifically as a way to cool off during a hot Florida afternoon when the heat index climbs into the 90s and everyone's looking for relief. The ride is frequently criticized as simply too short for the weight it commands, with more than one reviewer describing it as ending just as it really starts to get going and find its footing, right when you're finally settling into the experience. The signature payoff, actually getting soaked, is also inconsistent and unpredictable in practice, typically hitting just one unlucky rider per raft, while everyone else stays mostly dry the entire way through. One recurring complaint among longtime guests is that a past refurbishment specifically aimed at improving the ride actually refurbished the fun right out of it, trimming back the water elements that guests specifically remember loving from earlier versions of the attraction before the changes were made. A ride that longtime fans specifically praise for a version that no longer exists isn't a strong argument for waiting in a real line for the version that actually exists right now, today, on your trip. Number 3, Tomorrowland Speedway at Magic Kingdom. This ride gives kids a chance to feel like they're driving their own car, a Magic Kingdom fixture that's been part of Tomorrowland since the park's very first year of operation back in 1971, making it one of the oldest attractions still running anywhere on property. The ride loads only 2 riders at a time, runs on a fixed track with no genuine steering control despite the wheel sitting right in front of you, and the illusion it creates, and routinely creates long waits for what amounts to a short, low-thrill lap around a fixed course that never actually changes from ride to ride. Reviewers have called it an eyesore in decades past its prime, openly questioning what a loud, gas-powered racetrack is even doing in the one section of the park specifically themed around imagining the future of transportation rather than reflecting its past. A ride built to make kids feel like they're driving shouldn't require the adults standing with them to wait in the Florida heat for half an hour just to get 2 minutes on a track the car physically can't steer anyway, no matter how hard the kid in the driver's seat turns that wheel. Number 2, Journey into Imagination with Figment at Epcot. This ride carries real nostalgic weight, built around Figment, Epcot's purple dragon mascot, tracing back to a genuinely beloved original version from 1983 that longtime Disney fans still bring up fondly on message boards decades later, often completely unprompted by anyone asking. The current version is widely considered one of the most disappointing attractions anywhere at Disney World. Reviewers consistently describe early 2000s era effects that look every bit their age now, animatronics that frequently glitch or fail to move mid-scene correctly, and a story that feels aimless and disconnected compared to what the original attraction actually delivered to guests decades earlier when it first opened. One longtime visitor summed the whole thing up bluntly, calling it flatly one of the worst attractions at Walt Disney World, and specifically noting you can typically walk straight onto it with zero wait even on a packed summer afternoon, which they took as direct proof of exactly how little real demand exists for it anymore among guests who already know better from experience. Zero wait at Epcot in the middle of a packed summer day isn't a hidden gem quietly waiting to be discovered by savvy guests who found the secret. It's guests who've already ridden it, once telling you everything you actually need to know before you bother waiting even a few minutes for it yourself. And number 1, It's a Small World at Magic Kingdom. This is one of Disney's most historically significant original attractions, a slow boat ride through a series of musical scenes meant to represent cultures from around the world, genuinely tied to the company's earliest history dating back to the 1964 World's Fair in New York, before it ever made its way to Florida at all. Recent guest reviews are unusually blunt about where this ride actually stands today, decades later, long after the novelty of its origin story has worn off for most visitors. Multiple reviewers on TripAdvisor use the exact same phrase, independently of each other and without any coordination between them, to describe the experience: a waste of time. Guests specifically criticize outdated and stereotyped portrayals of different countries that haven't been meaningfully updated in decades, despite everything else in the parks changing around them year after year, a theme song that becomes genuinely maddening by the end of a ride this long and repetitive, and in more than one separate review, water inside the attraction itself that guests describe as smelling noticeably unpleasant throughout the entire ride. Historical significance is a completely legitimate reason to ride this once, just to say you've genuinely experienced a real piece of Disney history for yourself and understand where so much of the company's identity actually comes from. It's not automatically a reason to wait in a real line for it on every single trip after that, especially once you already know exactly what you're getting before you ever step foot in the queue again. None of these 10 attractions is proof that Disney World's overall ride lineup is weak, and it would be genuinely dishonest to frame it that way, given everything else the parks still do well, day in and day out. Several of these are perfectly enjoyable rides in their own right, worth doing once or twice without regret if you're already standing nearby with time to spare. And Flight of Passage specifically is genuinely one of the best attractions anywhere on the entire property. Full stop, no hedging needed there. The pattern connecting all 10 is narrower than a blanket complaint about overall quality across the resort. Reputation, nostalgia, and outdated strategy, advice that hasn't actually been updated in years, keep guests investing disproportionate time, stress, and planning effort into experiences that either don't return that investment the way they used to, or honestly, never quite did to begin with, even when they first opened decades ago. Skipping a supposed must-do isn't missing out on the real Disney World experience everyone talks about online before you even land in Orlando. It's protecting the limited hours you actually have inside the parks for the things that are still genuinely worth spending them on today, right now, not 5 or 10 years ago when the reputation was first earned. So here's what I want to know from you. Which of these 10 have you personally regretted waiting for? And what did you end up doing with the extra time instead once you learned better? Drop it in the comments below. I want the specific ride, not just a general complaint about the parks overall. And if this helped you plan a smarter, less exhausting park day, go ahead and hit subscribe, because next up, we're doing the same breakdown for Epcot's food and snacks.